Watch the entire video, my lovely viewers, I mean from start to finish, to get the whole thing. Without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it. Hi lovely viewers, it's me again, your one and only Mutati Mpundu. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the red subscribe button down below and turn the bell icon to join the notification squad. Don't forget to like, share and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you lovely viewers.
Of power. People are very scared of him.
In fact, coming to that, a lot of people have complained about, some of us just call him a dictator because we want his will to prevail.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's a one-track-minded approach to many things. Is way or no way at all.
Yes.
Could this contribute to the current failures?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of disappointment by Zambians. That number one, he was very high-sounding, very knowledgeable in opposition. He provided alternative solutions and proposed policy changes. So now he's been president for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And the country is literally collapsing apart. Look at the health sector, the economic sector, social sector. All sectors are failing.
Yeah.
The economy is very bad. We are experiencing one of the worst, highest cost of living. What could be the problem? What is your reflection on that?
Again, I'll be very honest with you. UPND, apart from President HH offering all those solutions, UPND had a very good media in the opposition. Okay, I was part of that media, so I know what used to happen. Most of the statements, the president would not even know that statement had gone out. Okay, so we sat and would write and would research and everything, and you're putting things out there. So there was an aspect of that. Then an aspect also of things that he himself was passionate about, research and would talk, issues to do with the economy, agriculture, and various other issues, And like I said, a lot of other issues, again, you'd write down, you do your policy briefs and everything, and you give to the president. So the media of the UPND was actually very good. Because every day you would wake up, you would read the papers as part of the media, and you see all the topical issues that are being discussed and everything, and you respond according to that. I remember myself and Hamasaga, one of those two people that would write statements for the president, and would write, and sometimes we don't even know that the statements are out there. You get the point, huh? So other people, Dr. Mwananyanda, who's now at State House, a good number of people would come and write all these policy briefs, be it on gender, be it on health, education. You did your research, And then also, there were now other guerrilla media that came in now, like
the rogue media.
The rogue media, the watchdog and everything. Now they were doing all those propaganda stuff of theirs. So he was really covered by a set of people. An effective media, yes. So that was a part of it. And then, having been in opposition for a very long time, he had his issues, I think he planned more for the opposition than even planned for governance, yes. So we saw that even when he won, the man was basically not prepared. Look at his cabinet, for example. He kept on making promises. I'm delaying because of the kind of people that I'm going to choose. Just wait for the cabinet. And then we waited. And then boom. And then we're like, what?
Is this the reason we waited for that one, for this one?
No. You can do better than this, And then we waited. Okay, ambassadors, what? And then we're like, okay, I think these guys just don't have enough human resource. They just didn't have a plan and stuff like that. So for me, basically, that was really the biggest problem. The lack of planning. Where you plan so much for B, and then A happens, and you're shocked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And why is the country in this state? We are in various crises.
The country is in this state because the president doesn't want to listen. He doesn't want to listen, and also he's not learning. I think statecraft is about learning. You offer yourself as a president, people vote for you, and then you have to learn just from the system point of view. They have to teach you certain things. The president to me appears like he's unteachable, That is why I always give an example of his salute, just the simple thing of a salute. As Zambians, we salute like this. British, he salutes like this. American, like John Cena.
Yes.
I'm sure he loves wrestling so much. Every time, like, President, please.
Yeah, salute you.
The issue just, you remember just the whole thing of the
So I think there hasn't been any public political rally since August 2021. The law enforcement agencies, especially the police, have been weaponized against the opposition. For people in the Patriotic Front, they've been arraigned and arrested. You have been arraigned and arrested. And now there's an attempt to steal the entire political party. So before you give comments to the issues happening in the governance space, maybe tell us your experience and these attempts where they want to remove you from your party.
Yeah. And if you look at what the UPND is doing yet again, it all starts from the opposition. You remember they were in an alliance with about 13 political parties.
Yes.
By the time that they were going to elections, out of all those 13, I think they only remained with one or two. They had to bring in, I think, two more, which were new. The reasons why most of us left the UPND alliance was that they wanted to destroy us as political parties even before we formed government, So one of the things that they were suggesting, number one, was the issue of the name, UPND Alliance.
How can it be?
How can it be? Yes, You're in an alliance with who, So there was an issue of that. Then there was an issue of everybody who stands has to stand on the UPND ticket. Because if you're going to be in an alliance, other people can stand, let's say, on NDC this side, other people stand on
MDC.
You get yes. So by the time you go to parliament, you are really a reflection of the alliances, of the political parties that form the alliance. But for them, it was everybody has to be on this political party. So they started killing off that. Issues of running mate, by then, the discussion before then, it was running mate should be CK, because by then NDC was the second biggest party on the alliance. Then they stopped and they started saying, no, you know what, they changed their minds rather. They were saying the running mate should be Mutati and Lomango. So we are thinking, how can you be an alliance and have number one and number two
from the same political party?
The same political party, you get the point, yes. So they have never ever been interested in democracy, so their issue was to kill off our political parties. So when we formed government, they did intensify that, so they put in a lot of money to have all these people go onto the media to say all sorts of things and grab the party. And people don't even know actually the extent of the fight for our political parties. I can even say the fight for the soul of the NDC. Because just the issue of the annual returns.
Yeah.
They gave us such problems just to fight in our annual returns. Political parties
this is just renewal. This is supposed to be just renewal.
Yes. The NDC was formed in 2017. And we fight in our annual returns every year. But when they formed government, it became a problem. And we're telling them to say, okay, where is this coming from, But we had to fight for that. And we're now filing in, and now there's no issue with that. To the point where I had to report the Register of Societies and the PS, one of the PS Home Affairs, to the anti-corruption. So when we did that now, that's when they laid off.
Speak to that. Why did you report the Permanent Secretary and the Registrar of Societies to the SEC?
Exactly. Because one of the Permanent Secretaries, Mr. Kafumba, of course, was our Vice President in the NDC and one of the parties to the conflict of the NDC. So even the time that he was appointed to the Ministry of Home Affairs, we knew to say, okay, this man
will be trouble.
Exactly has been put in for all these things. And he really did his best, or rather the ministry really did their best to cause all that confusion. So for them, they knew, because even the officers there, they knew to say, okay, this person being a man of this position, we have to do maybe what he tells us. I don't want to tell us. Exactly. So they didn't care about the law, And at some point, they went as far as there was this administrative secretary that would use to file in the returns and everything. They went to an extent of getting that person, and they ran away with certain files.
My God.
Yes. But by then, what I'd done, because of having that experience, what I'd done was that every time he would do whatever it is for the party, I'd always tell him to give me copies.
To keep records, yes.
So I had a lot of records for almost everything. So even the time he ran away with whatever, I had my own records. Then a few things that he ran away with, we went to the police and said, we are missing documents because somebody ran away with the documents. Just to report, Ambassador, that thing. A lot of calls. You walk into a police station and they're making calls. We arrived at the police station at 9 hours. They had to attend to us at 14 hours. And by then I just told them to say, I'm not leaving until you attend to me. Our documents were lost and I've come to report. What is the matter with that? You just have to give me a missing documents report. That's all I wanted. The CAO, 7 of the highest policemen now at Chilenje Police had to come in this room and they were discussing. I said something, oh, give us a minute, I leave there, making calls. I said, what is going on? But I just thought, I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not going to report at any other police station. I have come here.
Yeah.
So give me what I want. And they ended up doing that. Went to register societies and everything. And we said, whether you like it or not, we're going to file in our returns. And when I saw that they kept on doing whatever it is that they were doing, and that was like the last day, I had to call out the minister himself, because I was like, okay, if we're failing at PS level, let me go to the minister. I called the minister, went to see him, And at that time, by the way, Ambassador, they had even changed the list of the office bearers for the NDC. Without illegally, yes.
Wow.
And that's even the reason why I reported on corruption. So I went to see the minister called the other PS. So we had another meeting now with the other PS, and then they were telling me to say, actually, the person in charge of political parties is the other PS and not the other one. So we sat now, he called the Register of Societies, and he brought in the NDC file from 2017 till last year, 2023, page by page, page by page. By then, one volume was even missing. So the minister was like, PS, where's the other volume? They had to go fish out the other volume, brought it back, page by page. And then I was like, so if you look from here to there, at what point did this change? So now that's when they came in to say, no, so they brought it out, so they changed it back. When we were having that meeting, they changed back the list of office bearers.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And they claimed that was a system failure. It was a system failure, and one of the names changed. I was like, how did the system fail? And, because what had happened in the NDC was that from the original 10 that registered the party, the time Mr. Kafumba was our vice president and Mrs. Atanga, our SG, we had the central committee and we suggested to say, let's remove these two. There's a woman called Mrs. Maleta and Kingston who we removed as office bearers and replaced them with the two. But when the so-called system failed and changed the list, Mr. Kafumba found himself on the list, but Mrs. Atanga was not there. And I was telling them to say, it could have been okay if these two were both not there or these two were both there. So the fact that there's one person and not the other one, it means that you already changed it. Yeah. And Mr. Kafumba is a civil servant. What is he doing here? So based on that meeting and everything that was brought out, at least they changed back the list. So those are the fights that I've had to fight.
You are a personal reflection of what is going on, against the opposition. If you look at Kabushi and Kwacha, Honorable Joseph Malanji and Honorable Bowman Lusambo were eligible to contest. The ECZ came up with a legal opinion, and if they were a court of law, and said the two had caused the violations and therefore they will not be allowed to file. It was totally illegal. But ECZ proceeded to do that, proceeded to disenfranchise them. And we are glad that there is a court ruling from the Concord that demonstrated that the actions by ECZ were illegal. But you and I know that the fight over the Patriotic Front has nothing to do with ECZ. It's the directives and directions from State House. Like what they are doing to you and to your party. Mr. Joseph Sakafumba, and we need to name him as permanent secretary, he should have declared interest.
Very true.
Because he was your vice president. And then, he's allowing these individuals to masquerade as NDC leaders, even when matters are in court. And he sits at a very sensitive ministry. What should the opposition do to fight off this?
The opposition should actually stick together, and the opposition should not allow the UPND to do what they're doing. I've been telling people to say, we have had to fight so many battles as NDC, and NDC is a smaller party with fewer membership. We've never been in government, but we've had to fight to actually be where we are today. So I tell people to say a political party like the PF, for example, which has been in government, it has a larger membership, it has they should not even allow. Because, for me, one of the things that I've actually done was actually to ignore the other guys who, I call them the rebels. I've had to ignore the rebels with whatever it is that they are doing. So I've been telling the PF to say, ignore the rebel that the UPND has brought into the party. Operate as if it does not even exist. There are things, of course, when it comes to Parliament, when he wants to do certain things, which you have no choice but to go to court and handle certain things. But operate as if it does not even exist. Because I've been hearing people, some people saying, no, they need to register another party and everything. No, don't. Don't do all those things. Fight for the PF.
With the fight where you are fighting government, why didn't you register another political party? What's the wisdom?
I wouldn't certainly do that. I wouldn't register another party because, it takes a long time to have an impact, on the public. it takes a long time to have a party, be a party. NDC, like I said, was registered in 2017, and a good number of us said, you know what, we're going to join this small party.
Yeah, and we're going to grow it.
And we're going to grow it, yes. I remember when I was living in the UPND, NDC was only 4 months old. And they said, I want to be part of building a new political party. So if you look at the constitution of the NDC, for example, the manifesto, a good number of us are part of the people that did that. Because that's when we joined, we're like, no, the constitution is not good enough. So we sat, Mr. Kafumba and I, we're amongst the people that were in the forefront of changing the NDC constitution. The manifesto we sat, because NDC had engaged experts at UNZA and everything, and we said, no, you don't need experts, we can do it ourselves.
We know, we're politicians, we know what to want.
Yes. Experts sometimes can do their copy and paste, but us, of course, we have the expertise from the other side, and members of the party, we have the heart of the NDC. So we sat and we came up with very good documents of the party, And funny enough, again, Mr. Kafumba, one of the things which he went to court for, he claimed that NDC does not have a constitution, which was part of reviewing himself, So forming another political party, really, it's neither here nor there, because it takes a lot of things. And where the NDC is, by the way, because politics is not only about participating in elections, coming on TV and radio and everything, there's an issue also of recognition, both by the public and international organizations. And NDC, having grown so fast, we used to call ourselves as the baby born with teeth, like we're the fastest growing party at that time. So just international organizations, and I remember myself being the chairperson of Gender at the time, and having worked with a lot of NGOs. There were many parties that were formed before NDC, but because of the works we were doing, we were now attached to many of these political parties, and organizations. So if you look at an organization, let's say the Women's Lobby, there's this platform they have. NDC was the only new party which was put on the platform. We worked with organizations like Women and Law in Southern Africa, the IRI, Institute of Republicans, they came in and everything. By then we even had the Member of Parliament. So we were recognized in a very short period of time. And once you brought onto these various platforms of local and international organizations, when you sit there, you sit there permanently. So meaning if we were to register another political party, we need to start the work all over again, by the time you reach that recognition. There are many parties, like I've said, that were formed before NDC that are even now getting stronger now, or they are strong now, but they're not even a member of all those organizations that I've talked about. So a new party would mean going, I don't know how many years. And
in fact, I've always stated that if a thief comes to your house and steals a TV, and you hear him even watch the TV and celebrate when people score, do you buy a new TV, or you go to the police and ensure that your TV is returned?
Go to the police,
you cannot legitimize theft just because you can buy a new TV. Very so true. I think forming a political party, decamping, for example, from the Patriotic Front, would be giving legitimacy to the thieves who have come to steal your party. And you'll have created precedent that a ruling party can walk in, storm your political party and steal it from you and legitimize it. It is clear. Some have said President Hakainde Hichilema is using the blueprint of Rwanda, where opposition is harassed, and there is literally a de facto one-party state. And President Hakainde Hichilema seems to be moving into that direction. If we go to elections now, where you put the PF in disarray, which is supposed to be the largest opposition, it will literally be a de facto political party. And also, because of his failures, his promises, his electoral campaign promises, and his failure to attend the economy, I think he's fearing 2026. So he wants you all weekend. Everybody Mutati yo Saboi munabo sana wa PF. PF kutwa mina pari Saboi. That's why they've come with a hammer on you. So the reflections on just this, just general attack on democracy and attempt to make Zambia a one-party state.
That, first of all, cannot happen and should not happen. And for me, this is advice I normally give privately, but today I'll give it publicly, but I won't get into details, okay? Number one, people always say that even in terms of the opposition, they're saying, the opposition needs to organize. Where's that one person? Because they used in the past would have maybe the one main opposition, okay? They would have the SATA, they would have an HH, so we're saying, no, the opposition is like, whatever. So I've been telling them to say, dynamics change over time. If you look at a lot of countries in this world today, Germany inclusive, which is a European country, you can't, no one party can win elections.
Alone,
they can't, no. No wonder they have this grand coalition of Germany. You know, we saw it also in Kenya, where we even had coalitions of coalitions, you know. Yeah, so many parties are forming all these alliances and everything. Malawi also, even Zambia itself, if you look at 2021.
We may be moving there.
Yeah, so we are moving there as Zambia to a point whereby it's very difficult right now for any one political party to form government. And also, having one person and take to the public and say, this is a person we're fielding as opposition in 2026, it will be very risky. Because this autocratic government will go after that person, you know. So it should be strategic not to even make them know to say, this is the person that we want. You know, so the opposition should come together. And when you have, for example, a group of opposition political parties, let's say 10, maybe they come after PF, they bring their so-called Sampa. They come after NDC, they bring whoever they want to bring. If you have 10 political parties and they hammer, let's say 4 or 5, they won't manage to hammer all 10. You get the point? And even if they were to manage to hammer all 10, you can still call another party, because Zambia's got over 60 registered political parties. Yes, you can bring somebody and you stand on a party. But as you do all those things, you sell out an alliance name. So come 2024, by now there should be an alliance name that we should be selling.
Okay.
Yes, so that alliance name, because under a normal government, you can even register an alliance name, you know. But whether the alliance name will be registered or not, if the UPND is going to play their politics within that alliance, if we sell an alliance name, it does not matter whose party will be hit or not. By 2026, we can stand on any political party. So it can even be the smallest party on the alliance. You can even get 3 or 4 and you stand on there. But with that also, you hold on to the PF. Because even people know, they can bring in all sorts of people and say, this is a PF. People always know where certain faces are, say this is a real PF. So let them do whatever it is that they want to do. And like I have said, I have a detailed plan of this in my head.
Yeah.
Which I can't
begin
share
to sell
publicly.
It. Not general sales or speak strategies to the members of the public.
Exactly, yeah.
As political parties led by women, you held a meeting, a press conference, at which you criticized the actions of NGOCC.
Yes.
This is after the Speaker of the National Assembly had recognized and made changes against the leadership of the opposition. She removed Honorable Brian Mpundu as leader of the opposition and Stephen Kampiongo as chief whip, and imposed them with these 2 names from Mr. Sampa, who the entire country knew had held an illegal meeting.
Exactly.
Who the entire country knew was that the PF hadn't gone to conference. The entire country knew Sampa was not PF president. So the Speaker was roundly condemned for that action. First, it was unconstitutional. 2, office bearers had not changed at the Registrar of Societies. Thirdly, I think she should have allowed for matters to conclude in courts of law before she could effect changes. So then we saw NGOCC rise and say, you rise against one woman, you rise against all of us.
Imagine.
And you women political parties, you Honorable Shalakateka, Honorable Edith Nawakwi and others held a press conference to tell off NGOCC. In fact, you went to the extent of calling that cooperating partners should not fund them. Why such a strong stance?
That strong stance was because a lot of things have been going on, against women in the country, and NGOCC had been very quiet on all the issues, And also we felt that anybody that is interested in the governance of this country can see that what is going on at Parliament is very unconstitutional and not right. There is no one who can support what is going on at Parliament. So for NGOCC to have stood up and gone to Parliament and did what they did, we just said, you know what, these we're not going to allow. And there are certain things which happen whereby you don't even have to wait for somebody to do another mistake in relation to that. We said the mistake or the action of the NGOCC is too grave, to let go like that. So no wonder we convened. We just said, you know what, let's come together and make a strong statement. And we did that. And after that meeting, by the way, the NGOCC called us to have a meeting with them, but we told them to say the manner in which they called us was not okay, because they called for a meeting and they called everybody else. So we said, no, as presidents, we're going to have another meeting on our own, and then afterwards, so we allowed our SGs just to go there and go hear what they wanted to say. But as presidents, all 3 of us did not go there. And they apologized, They apologized. They said what they did was wrong. They didn't know, blah, blah, blah.
Why haven't they apologized publicly?
Exactly.
Because we are not aware.
Can you imagine that? Yes. So those are the issues that also we have been telling them and our members to say, we need this apology, first of all, to be made public.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they were told to say, every time, NGOCC is a member organization. You didn't call us as members. So next time you do solidarity with anybody, inform us. And they were so, no, in fact, we have stopped.
And in the same week, it emerged, our lawyers went to court, retrieved documents from the office, the registrar's office, that demonstrated that the action by the speaker were illegal because the changes had not occurred at the, of office bearers for the Patriotic Front. Therefore, on what basis was our action? And the decision by the registrar of societies to respond to a court process and submit, through subpoena, the document to court, and literally a constructive dismissal. Because the same day she was removed, subjected to police processes, and she was removed from office. NGOCC were quiet.
Exactly.
If a woman had been treated and injured in the manner that the chief registrar had been treated, we expected NGOCC to rise to the defense the way they did to Madam Nelly Muti.
Exactly.
But they were tone silent, tone deaf,
Yeah, and that's the problem that we have right now, because most of these people are job seekers. They want to please the government so that they get into government and have all these jobs that they want. And for me, also, that's the biggest problem that we have right now, because a long time ago, we would have these low numbers of women in parliament. We've always had low numbers as Zambians, but we had a strong women's movement outside, and it always protected what was going on in parliament. I normally give an example myself to say, I remember the fight between Arabi and Stella Grillo, who was the NGOCC chairperson by then, over the anti-GBV Act. I have no idea why President Arabi didn't like it, So he wanted, he never wanted the act, but the women's movement outside, they made sure it was enacted. And the president had to concede, So in as much as the women MPs could have been defeated in parliament, the women's movement was there. And that's one thing that we've always loved about the women's movement in this country, And that's even the reason why we convened. And by the way, following the presser that we had, we formed a group, we talk regularly, and yesterday we had a meeting, so we're having some private meetings. Yes, exactly. So we are doing so much
that kind of grouping is arising because I think civil society is at its weakest.
Yes,
I think after elections of 2021, we've seen the entire civil society, either they are aligning themselves with government, or they are just in a state of paralysis.
Yes.
And that's why we have to bemoan the low numbers of women in parliament. I think it's the lowest
it's the lowest
since 1991.
Yes, it is. Actually.
And President Hakainde Hichilema has not helped matters. Yes. Look at the number of ministers he has out of 26.
Can you
I think he only has under 5 women as ministers. He should have even used a hand of nomination.
Yes. That's
what should be done to strengthen civil society and then women participation in politics?
Well, what should be done amongst the things, stakeholders, meeting like what we are doing right now, because we are saying what exactly should we do, because civil society has been weakened and everything. And the sad part, Ambassador, is that just women participation, the African average is 25%, 25%, and Zambia is at 12%.
Wow.
So meaning that we are so much below even the African percentage, Southern African region, we should be second last or the very least in terms of women political participation. And yet when it comes to the ratification of conventions like CEDAW, we're amongst the first. Last time I even gave an example of Malawi and us, only because Malawi signed CEDAW much later than us. Malawi would say, for us, we are so cultural in terms of our practices. We're a polygamous nation. They would go there and they say, because of this, we don't want to sign this women's rights convention. So they delayed. But Zambia there and then we ratified CEDAW without reservations for that matter. So meaning that all the articles of CEDAW, we are party to that. Then we come back home and we don't domesticate the convention first and foremost. And then a good part of what we domesticated using the Gender Equity and Equality Act, we still don't implement them, So with that, you find that even some laws which are sufficient enough to help us as women in the country are not really being implemented. So civil society, we should be in the forefront of doing all those things, are not doing that. Because for them now, what they want is to go into office, you know. And the manner which comes in for women political participation, a good part of it goes through Ministry of Finance, and they channel that to NGOCC, you know. So it's not just an NGO, it's an NGO that actually gets money for women political participation. So they need to do the right thing, you know. So no wonder as women now we're saying, you know what, enough is enough. If you're the people that get money on behalf of women political participation are doing this, then I don't know what it is that we're going to achieve as women, you know. And having come from an NGO background myself, Ambassador, I know for a fact that when NGOs are implementing projects, they always say that real empowerment should come from the people, you know? So when you're doing a project, you have to engage the people and everything. But the funny thing, Ambassador, is that when it comes to women political participation, all projects have a
man at the top.
a top-bottom approach. It's a thing whereby you don't really engage the women politicians, you know, and when money comes in, they say, we don't deal with political parties directly. And you're thinking, we've got candidates that are standing. How then do you not involve yourselves directly with political parties? Because it's political parties that are the nominators of who stands. You get the point? So there's that
I think there's a lot of patriarchal issues even in political parties.
Exactly.
Because, in fact, it starts from home. If the parties, political parties, could allow, for example, a third or half their members that are standing to be women, you'll have, you know, a lot of human resource then in parliament to work from. So I think the work should start with political parties.
It should,
political parties adopt very few women to stand. And you know, the environment of politics is extremely hostile. Speak to that.
Yes, and also
why I'm saying that is you've been a victim of bullying, cyberbullying by the UPND. Because you are very strong, you are a very strong critic of President Hakainde Hichilema. Sometimes they come to your page, you know, and literally abuse you, and sometimes you've spoken about that. It may discourage a lot of other women from participating because they fear that they'll be, you know, they'll be abused, they'll be called names.
Exactly.
What advice can you give?
Well, advice I can give is that, first of all, the women should be very strong. You know, the issue of patriarchy that you alluded to is very strong in this country, and we have to fight it tooth and nail, you know. So the cyberbullying that you see, especially against women politicians, that just reflects the kind of society that we come from. We see people being very comfortable insulting women. Just on the same women's group that I told you about, Mama Chikamoneka shared some voice notes just yesterday of these two young guys who are being used by the rebel PF, were insulting her. And we were all shocked to say, how do young people like this have the guts to insult a big person like this one? So if they can insult her, no one of us is safe. You get the point. On my page, I have to really block a good number of people on a daily basis, you know. So that, I think, for me, is very sad in a country which is already technologically savvy and able to detect these numbers. When somebody insults the president, for example, they'll fish them out within a day or two. But if it's another person, they won't really do that. There was a time when the Electoral Commission of Namibia and the Gender Commission of South Africa came through, and we were meeting up with them, with NGOCC and a good number of MPs and everything. And I remember the people from Namibia were sharing to say, there's no cyberbullying of women in Namibia. You know, so we asked them to say, what really have you done? Yes, and they were like, the reason it's like that is that all SIM cards are registered. So if anybody insults on Facebook, they are found and they're prosecuted. And then I was like, wait a minute. Zambian SIM cards are registered as well. You get the point, So what they have used to stop cyberbullying in Namibia is already what we have in this country. So meaning that if the law enforcement agencies were interested enough in stopping cyberbullying, they would do that, you know. But because they are not, they only don't want cyberbullying against the president. Only. Yes, anybody else, they allow it. They allow it, you know.
You called out and you called out to President Hakainde Hichilema to call his pressing us in to put them to order.
Yes, exactly.
He's been very silent. Does he approve it?
He certainly approves it, because if he did not approve it, he wouldn't allow it. We've seen that these days, even just a simple action, the president has to say, oh, IG, do this, oh, this and that, do that. Why can't the IG just act on his own?
The two gentlemen you cited that were abusing Mama Chikamoneka, Mr. Grounds and the so-called Chama America. were very abusive to President Hakainde Hichilema.
Yes.
And to see the UPND who are working with our brother Mal Sampa, allow those two boys now just change and turn the guns against his opponents, and they are watching is totally unacceptable. I just saw some of the videos where they were insulting the entire Eastern Province, issuing things that should not even be said on air, on radio.
Exactly.
And I hope that someone can report them to the police to test the law if we are really serious about, hate speech and tribal talk.
Exactly.
We will begin to wind up. The state of the economy, I think lastly, is what we should talk about and what you think should be the solutions, because it affects women most.
Yes.
It's women that run our homes. They are with our children. And with the hostile environment of our economy, the impact must be extremely negative for especially the women and children.
Oh, yeah.
What are we doing wrong? Let me to pele imebana mayo me not to feel.
And I'm feel bad. I'm feel bad kind, So really, if you look at the state of the economy, everything starts with the Republican president as a leader of the team. As a leader, only as good as your team.
Yeah.
So he has put besides him or around him a very, very incompetent team. So he's failing, and they are failing, and our economy is also failing.
In fact, there's a statement that says a president is as good as his aides.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you look at the people that have surrounded him, really, he's a person that wants to control everything and everybody, and you can't do that. So once you have people, every time when you're in a room and everybody you sit with, you're the only person that has to be listened to, then there's a problem there. So the state of the economy right now, it's such a sad state of affairs. And like they say, in fact, Arabi used to use this word that my numbers is here. Numbers don't lie, you know. So they can do whatever it is they want to do. They can lie, they can do their propaganda. But number one, we are seeing the exchange rates,
inflation rate.
Yes.
Then the prices of essential
commodities, just for you to go into a shop and buy one or two things. I've been a victim of I don't know whether to call myself a victim or a culprit of telling the tailor to say, pendan one foot.
Yes.
I've done that twice. Twice in Choppies, and the other time I think I was at a Rwanda's shop.
Because you just get small things, little things, and it says 3.5.
I was like, no. So in Choppies, I think I got about 5-6 items. It was like 1,500. I was like, no, can you count again? They did that. Same thing, I was just at Rwanda's shop. I got very few things. 850. I was like, I'm banned for food. And all those times when we had to redo it, they were right and not me.
Yeah.
So I just realized, things are just too expensive. So no matter what they do, it's a person out there who goes to buy something, who knows to say, things were like this just a few months ago, and this time they're like this. So the UPND has to be very serious in terms of how they are running the economy, and they need to be just very serious about it. There are simple issues like, let's say, the social sector and the economic sectors that they need to prioritize here and there. We have seen how they've messed up the agricultural sector. From a so-called farmer, those are the things that he was promising, especially people in Eastern Province. That was the slogan. Then he comes in and he has the worst agricultural policies ever. By September, October, they were still cancelling procurement contracts. The delivery of seed and fertilizer is always late, and the sacks are fewer. So just looking at what happened, the mess which happened this year, that the mess will be the same as it was last year. Yeah. And yet agriculture is a new god. Look at Zambia, where we are. A long time ago, we used to say that we were landlocked, and now we say we are land-linked. So the fact that we're in between all these other countries, we should take advantage of that. What is it that we can sell to all these other countries? So all those things are not happening, Mining. God has really blessed us, Sata used to say God is not making any more land, and he really isn't. We have so many minerals. We never even knew that we had switchlights. We didn't even know what switchlights was. I remember a friend of mine had a mine in Northern Province, and she's the one that started talking about switchlights. I had no idea what switchlights was. By the time now it's leaked and all those kind of about switchlights, so that mine you're talking about, this is what you meant, you get the point. So it's very, very shocking that we can have so many of these minerals, Right now in Kalomo, Southern Province, there's lithium, which is being mined, and everything illegally. So they should prioritize the issues of what is this, mining, agriculture, you know, we make money, and once you make money from these economic sectors, and then now you are able now to spend on the social sectors. Because social sectors, in as much as we need health and education, and we should prioritize them, because you need a healthy population, you need an educated population, you don't see results until after a long time. You are investing in a child that has to grow up and leave school and everything.
Yeah.
So you need to make money to ensure that money is being invested in building schools, in making a desk, in you know, buying books and everything. So the UPND is doing things the other way around, you know, whereby their priorities are all over the place, you know. So that is why we're having all these problems, because we have a government that is not really sitting down and prioritizing what should we do first before we do this B. And and with that, trust me, things will keep on going badly the way they are going. And lastly, also, they don't want to listen, because there are many people in this country that are experts, you know. I always give an example.
What are your hopes for 2024?
2024, I hope that the government will listen more, you know. Ambassador, not because you're here, I always give an example of you, of how a lot of your articles have actually made these guys reverse a good number of things. You get the point. Even when it came to appointment, just when they formed government and everything, because they fired too many experts. They come in and they want to fire everybody, and they bring in new people, so that what is this institutional memory and
lost.
Everything is really lost, and now they don't know what to do. So my hopes for 2024 is to see the UPND take a different approach. We are not enemies, you know. We just have different political parties, ideologies, and aspirations for this country. All of us, we make our constitutions and our manifestos based on what we want to see different
and better
for our country, yes. So the process by which we have these differences and aspirations to do better for our country should not make us enemies. If your approach is better, well and good, the people vote for you and you be in charge and everything. And even when you're in charge, we can still come in and say, okay, even when it comes to this, why don't you do A, B, C, D? That should just be the process. So I hope there'll be better politics, because for me, I feel that the UPND is failing with the economy because they're failing with the politics. You can't manage the economy alone. You have to involve others, be it your team, be it other political parties and everything. And once they do that, then things will definitely be better for all of us.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Alright, that's all for you today, lovely viewers. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about the video you just watched in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you, lovely viewers. Once again, I go by the name of Mutati Mpundu. I love you, peace, I gotta go.
Audio